bass is Conklins tend to be, I guess, at least stereotyped as being more for slapping and percussive styles of playing. It's something I'm not particularly good at, nor do I really play a whole lot of slap stuff, but if you get rid of all the bass, like it seems to be pretty well suited for that if you're into that style of playing. Anyways, this is a Conklin Groove Tools GT-5. They come in a 4-string, a 5-string, and a 7-string version, or I should say came, because this is a discontinued model now. And I just thought of this because I wanted to unplug. This is the first, not just bass, but guitar in general I've ever owned with a locking jack. It's a pretty nifty little thing, just in case if you like step on your cable by accident while you're on stage. But anyways, from 2002 to 2015, I believe, Conklin had a Korean line that was supposed to be like a more affordable version of like their basic model. And I'm not sure exactly how much they were on sale for new, but I got this one used for $450, and considering the quality of this instrument, granted it's not like a $2,500 bass or anything, but considering what I paid for it, this is a really nice find. Let me go over the specs first before I get into any other opinions, and all specs, anything I forget will be in the description, so you can check that. But off the top of my head, it has a locking jack. The controls, I forget exactly what they do. There's a volume knob, treble, bass, and I believe active passive switch. I'm not 100% sure. The correct answer is in the description. It has Bartolini Active pickups. It has a swamp ash body, a not spalted maple, a figured maple top. It comes in a natural and wine red finish. I wanted the natural one, but the wine red finish was the only one, at least the cheapest option I could find. And it really complements, this color really complements the neck very well. And look at that neck. Is that not just the sexiest neck you've ever seen on a stringed instrument ever? It's a 5-piece maple, no, what am I saying? It's not maple. So many instruments have maple necks, I'm sorry. It has a 5-piece Purpleheart wenge neck and a Purpleheart fingerboard, which, especially on a bass in this price range, is almost unheard of. And it has a 34-inch scale length. It has 24 medium jumbo frets, I believe. Right now it has a set of Ernie Ball regular slinkies on it. The previous strings it had, I'm not exactly sure what they were. I got rid of them because the original owner had it tuned E to C. So it's like the top 5 strings on a 6-string bass. But whenever I play 5-string, I've always had it B to G, you know, the standard 5-string bass tuning. So that's what I have. What is there really to say about this? I mean, the fretwork, it's not 100% absolutely pristine perfect, but for a bass in this price range, The fretwork is really nice. There's no rough fret ends at all. Like, any tiny little nubs that there might be are jutting out like just a tiny little bit. This neck feels amazing. I guess not only is it the combination of woods they picked, but it's a fairly thin neck. It kind of reminds me of like a 5-string version of a jazz bass neck, at least vaguely anyway. Yeah, it's really easy to play. Sonically, it's pretty sonically versatile. When you have everything cranked up to 10, which is what you saw at the beginning of the video, that was, it has almost like a Fender jazz bass kind of sound, like that. Like, it's a fat sound, but at the same time, it's really gritty and raw sounding, and it sounds great for fingerstyle or using a pick or pretty much anything, really. Once you roll everything back to have it mellow out, it can clean up pretty well, and if you want to do some slap stuff, you can. It seems to be pretty well suited for that, because just the pickups it has, I can tell this is a bass designed to, like, have a really trebly slap sound whenever it needs to. And yeah, there's not really much else to say about this bass, really, other than it's just a really nice bass, period. Like, just objectively speaking, like, not even considering the price. Considering the price, this is a really nice bass, especially the woods it has in the neck and the fingerboard. In terms of craftsmanship, like, it's probably the best $450 will get you without going to some tiny unknown custom shop and, like, you know the guy who runs it personally, so he sells it to you at a cheaper price or something. This is really the only affordable line of Conklins out there. I first heard about Conklin maybe 6 years ago, I want to say, because I was looking something up about Gene Bodine, I think, because he has the crazy 11-string bass, and that bass, I believe, is a Conklin custom shop anyway. So I looked up Conklin, and I'm like, wow, they have some really cool designs there. Like, I hope, like, I'd like to have one of those basses someday, but, like, as you could imagine, an actual, real custom shop Conklin made by Bill Conklin himself would be, like, $3,000 probably, at least. Probably more depending on how many strings it has or how many fancy woods it might be built of. But this Conklin, from what I can tell, even though I haven't played any of their upscale models, they definitely seem like the kind of company where quality comes first, and they would not want to put their name on something that wouldn't be a quality product. And these basses were built in Korea, by the way. I forget exactly who, it's all in the Conklin website, but considering that this is like a mid-range, like, definitely like less than $800 bass, I'm guessing, it's pretty nice. And for the $450 I got it for, that's like one of the best deals I've ever gotten on a guitar or bass in my life. And yeah, there's not really much to complain about this bass. not much I can complain about when it comes to this bass. I'm sorry, I'm out of it today. I'd say I have maybe 2 complaints or 2 nitpicks about it. The first is this big upper horn. While yes, it looks cool and it helps give the instrument that distinctive Conklin look to it, it really hinders upper fret access because it's a bolt-on design and the body starts around the 13th fret or so. It's not really, it comes up really far. So if you're the kind of bassist who likes jamming up in the 2nd octave of the instrument, it'll be a bit of a problem for you because the body intersects at like the 16th fret, the upper horn does. So if you want to get up here, it might be a little awkward. Does it bother me personally? Well, a little bit, because I like being able to easily get up there if I need to. But a lot of the time, if I'm gonna be playing up in the really upper register, like between the 17th and 24th frets, I would usually tap those upper frets, and do something like that where you're just tapping the upper frets instead of actually fretting them all the way up here, because you have to to get up there, you have to run your thumb up the body, like the actual body of the instrument, and at this point the neck has basically become like 3 times thicker than it was like 6 or 7 frets ago. And that's really just a matter of personal preference. If you're the kind of player who hangs out in the 1st octave of the instrument most of the time, it's not going to bother you. The other thing is not the blemish here. The only imperfection on this bass is that blemish on the side. That might be one of the reasons it was so cheap. The guy probably was like, oh, there's this big imperfection here that's really noticeable. I should really dock down the price. But honestly, it's on the side, so no one's going to see it, and it's not that noticeable. And everything on this bass is stock, to my knowledge at least, and it's just everything's fine. That brings me to the other little nitpick I have, which is where the strap button is located. It's not the strap button itself, it's just this groove that comes up here. Because a lot of the time, like if I'm at home or at someone's house or something, or because like if you're on stage and you set it down, they often will just have a stand there for you to set it down on. If I'm at home or at someone's house, I will typically just set it down on the carpet, just set it down like that, lean it up against just whatever there is that I'm comfortable having it lean up against. But this kind of gets in the way of that, and that might be where that blemish came from, because he might have banged it into something. But honestly, I'm just nitpicking here. This is a fine bass. I really like it. I got it kind of hoping that I could possibly replace my S101 5-string, which is the current 5-string bass I have. And this is, it's a way better bass than that bass is. They're not even really comparable. And that also reminds me of weight, because that S101 5-string is pretty heavy. It's maybe 10 pounds at least, I want to say. This base is pretty light. I haven't weighed it officially, but it's definitely under 10 pounds. And, yeah, it's like a nice, happy medium weight where it's not light that it feels like it's made of basswood and a bunch of other cheap materials, that for a base anyway. But at the same time, it's not super heavy, like, oh, it's going to be weighing down on your shoulder if you stand up playing it for a long time. It feels really good. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Not much else to say. It's just a really cool bass, and I'm glad I found it for the price I got it for. They're not too hard to find. There's usually a few on the internet for sale at any given time, so if you're curious, I'd say definitely check these out, because just like reading message boards and comments and stuff, they seem to just be unanimously positive reviews of this thing. And anything that anyone doesn't like about it, they will say, like, that's purely just out of personal preference, and I can see why someone would like it. So, yeah, if this interests you, definitely think about trying it out.